Hey everybody, Jason Lenski of Toro Performance here with Scott Ellis of Swing Physical Therapy. Today we're here to talk to you about what we can expect as triathletes as we transition from the off-season into the transitional phase or the pre-season mode of training. So right now, Northern Hemisphere athletes, we're just getting off the couch, getting through the holidays and starting to incorporate some specificity, maybe some very easy intervals with plenty of rest. But most importantly, we want to start to create good habits. So that means, starting to eat more nutrient-dense foods. If we need to take care of a new bike fit or get a new bike or any type of equipment, this is the time of year to do it so that we have plenty of time to adapt to the new stuff before our load gets a little bit heavier and our bodies need to be used to the new equipment. I would say that the underlying factor, and most important factor I should say, is going to be that we want to train our bodies to perform movements properly. We're not necessarily building muscles, we're building good habits and building good movement patterns. And today, Scott is going to tell us, as triathletes, what we should be concerned about during this point in training.
Thank you, Jason. So as he touched on right at the end there, the big thing that we're going to focus on today is movement patterns, not necessarily specific exercises or certain things you need to do. Because the big thing we see as triathletes is a lot of our issues, a lot of our injuries that we may see that either sideline us or at least limit our exercises from these nagging overuse injuries tend to pop up as we get later into our training seasons. We try to kind of limp through the last few weeks of training, just get to the race, and then now that we're in our off season, just say, hey, let's just hope it goes away. So we want to go through, and as we start looking into our off-season training plan, making sure we are addressing those things and making sure that we're getting those things knocked out appropriately before we start getting ready to increase all that volume when we get into our in-season training. So the big things that we see a lot coming into our clinic for our triathletes is our overuse injuries. Big ones that we see are IT band syndromes, plantar fasciitis, tendonitis in the knee or down in the heel. So for those of you guys that have had those type of nagging issues that may have sidelined you, here's going to be a few things that are really going to hit home with you. Now, the main cause that we see that underlie in these issues are looking into that our training is all single plane motion. Everything we do as a triathlete is straight down the line. We're on that bike straight down the line. We're doing running, whether it's on the treadmill or on the road. We're running straight down the line. We're doing laps straight back in the pool, right down that blue line. So we need to make sure that our body is still getting enough attention, enough love in these multiple planes. Our body's moving all three planes of motion. We need to make sure our joints, our muscles, and all the connective tissue is doing the same as well. So we're going to hyperlink a couple exercises into the comment section below regarding what exercises you can do, and they're just a couple examples of what you can do. The biggest thing right now I want to hammer out is these exercises are not an end-all be-all. They are not telling you what you need to do, but just we're going to talk through a couple different options on things to focus on, things to stay away from a form standpoint. But again, as Jason touched on, we're not saying you need to strengthen this muscle or that muscle. At this point right now, we just want to make sure we're getting enough attention into these different movements and training these movement patterns. The other big one that I see that gets neglected quite a bit from a lot of our triathletes at this time of year is the use of single leg strengthening. I know a lot of our athletes are getting out there doing strength training, doing cross training, maybe even doing some CrossFit, getting into the gym, doing some weights and what have you. But I do question a lot of my athletes that come in and say, how much of that is single leg exercise? And how much of it is single leg standing exercises? Because at this point, a lot of guys are going in and saying they want to do their leg press and the squats and the deadlifts and the lunges, which are great exercises and they serve their purpose. But at the same time, if we're having somebody who's going to run 26 miles, that entire time they're only standing in one leg. So we sure as heck better be able to have enough stability in the knees, in the hips, and everywhere down that chain to be able to stabilize. And when your body's not used to having to stabilize for 2, 3, 4 hours on a run or even out of a bike, we need to make sure that we're able to combat the injuries that come along with it. So again, in the comment section below, we're going to have a couple exercises and a couple cues and a couple things to start focusing on, not as a replacement of what you are doing right now in your cross training, but more as a supplement to make sure that we are addressing these certain movement patterns that frequently go neglected through off-season and preseason training plans. And the good news is some of these, pick the ones that you like, pick the ones that work well into your program, and these are ones that you can carry through all the way into your preseason, your in-season, all the way up to race day to work on good mobility and to keep all those nagging injuries at bay.
Right, and so just last thing, a lot of people, call this phase of training, base training, when we just want to log all these junk miles.
Yep.
I think it's a little bit antiquated way of thinking. This is the time of year when we still want to incorporate sports-specific movements so that we can establish a foundation to build upon. Going out and riding, or running 20 miles and slogging along, just logging junk miles is not going to make us better. Sure, it's going to build our aerobic fitness, but now's the time of year to work on our weaknesses and imbalances to make us stronger and way less likely to get injured down the line.
Absolutely. There's plenty of time down the training miles for volume. Right now it's more about the quality over the quantity. So we want to make sure that your guys' miles out there, whether they're on the bike, on the road, or in the pool, are quality and the muscles are able to tolerate that. And more importantly, get them prepared and get that good level of mobility and strength moving forward so that as your training does increase, they're ready to roll.
Exactly, spot on. Well, thanks for your time, guys. And if you have any questions, leave a comment below and we'll see you again.
Thank you.
Thanks.